probably the most incendiary document to be released was the one that contained multiple allegations against President Trump. Everybody's spreading this, amplifying it. There was one complaint where there's an unidentified person reported an unidentified female friend who was, quote, forced to perform oral sex on President Trump approximately 35 years ago in New Jersey when she was 13 years old. The friend also accused Jeffrey Epstein of abusing her, and the document notes that the lead was sent to the Washington FBI, and there was another complaint in the same document where an unnamed underage girl claimed that she was the victim of a nefarious sex trafficking ring at the Trump golf course in Ranchos Palos Verdes, California, and she claimed to have participated in orgies involving Jeffrey Epstein, Donald Trump, and then she alleged the girls were being murdered and buried at the golf course, and that the head of security told her that if she ever spoke out, she would end up as fertilizer for the back 9 holes, just like the other girls. So there were screenshots of this particular document that were posted everywhere, tens of millions of views, if not maybe hundreds of millions of views at this point. And people were claiming, finally, we have a smoking gun on Trump engaging in freaking pedophilia with Epstein. But the problem with that claim is that it's just not true at all. You can just kind of submit reports to the FBI. When people file FBI reports, either online or in person, the FBI maintains a record of these reports. Quite often, the claims in these reports are complete nonsense. If I file a report today saying that I saw Hillary Clinton shapeshift into a lizard person and board a UFO, that doesn't mean it's true. It just means that I told the FBI that. Maybe I believed it was true. Maybe I wanted to sow seeds against people I don't like. Whatever. The point is, it goes on the record. So I can see how a low info, maybe low IQ, schizophrenic, and just bored, I can see how that kind of person could read these reports and not know that they contain unsubstantiated information, unsubstantiated allegations. But that doesn't fully capture the level of idiocy that we're dealing with here. Because in this very same document, at one point, it states explicitly that the person was spoken to and deemed not credible. The whole thing was to be thrown. It appears right next to the complaint itself. That did not stop people. That did not stop tons of liberals, retarded right-wingers from claiming that Trump was somehow involved in this sex trafficking, rape, murder ring out of one of his golf courses, which, by the way, when this was alleged to have happened in the 1990s, Trump did not even own that course until 10 years later. So it's you're going to treat this document as credible. Finally, the smoking gun. And in that same smoking gun, it tells you, hey, by the way, this is not credible. This person's insane. The dates are not even true. The wires are crossed. And you're nice try, FBI. I'm going to believe that part and disregard the rest because I'm a retarded person and I'm bored. My streaming subscription got canceled. So this is my source of entertainment. But people are taking even more ridiculous stuff at face value. There was an email between the FBI and the NYPD, and an officer was telling a story from an alleged victim who claimed that he, while on a boat with Epstein, was a victim of a type of ritualistic sacrifice in which his feet were cut with a scimitar, but it left no scarring. And then he also claimed that he had witnessed babies who were being dismembered and eaten, and even worse stuff that I don't even want to repeat. But this guy also claimed that he was raped by George H.W. Bush. And the FBI officer's response was kind of hilarious. He literally said, thanks, I didn't realize Bush raped him too. Okay. Even the FBI agent at the time was thinking okay, maybe this is not exactly a thing that happened. But then the retard right and the liberals see these emails and they're see, we freaking told you. Jeffrey Epstein was eating babies and Trump was friends with him. We knew it. We called it all along. I really can't emphasize enough how stupid this stuff is. Which again, I know that people are primed to get excited about it, so I do myself no favors there, but it's just objectively true. Another document that went viral was an FBI report that cited confidential human sources claiming Trump was compromised by Israel. In other words, that Israel was blackmailing Trump into being pro-Israel, which is apparently a pretty rare and unheard of thing among Republican politicians. And so the funny thing with this in particular, though, is people were quickly able to determine that the informant was none other than Chuck Johnson. So if you're not familiar with Chuck Johnson, he's a guy who's been pretty active in the sort of intersection between business and politics since at least 2016. He used to be pretty influential. He famously was involved behind the scenes during the first Trump transition team. And over time, he kind of lost it. He threw a lot of his weight behind a lot of the Jew stuff and a lot of overdosing on red pill stuff. And he admitted to being an FBI informant a few years ago and tried to get people to support the Democrats. He always claimed to have all of these deep state connections. I always just kind of wrote him off as one of these insane people that exist in American politics. But these grandiose claims did not prevent him from nonetheless getting an audience on Twitter. And so as it would turn out, we were right. the guy's just a liar. He's currently facing a $75 million judgment after he lost a lawsuit brought about by a spurned former business associate. So Chuck Johnson was determined to have lied about his connections to intelligence agencies, among other things, which he used to secure those business deals and those contracts that otherwise he would not have gotten, which is why he's being sued. So what's really funny, perhaps a bit providential, is that on the day that Chuck Johnson's false claims about Trump went viral on Twitter, he was temporarily released from jail, where he's been held in contempt in the aforementioned lawsuit, only to then be brought back to jail later that same day. And not only that, the judge ordered his parents not to leave Texas because he suspects that they might have his laptop and other devices related to the case. Like, you really just can't make this stuff up. So the big source for Zion Don, compromised by Israel, is this guy who lied about everything, lied about having the connections to even know that kind of information, and is now in jail. It's the Trump curse, dude. Do not go with the king. It will go badly for you literally every time. But as you know, when it comes to narratives, the truth does not exactly matter so much to a lot of people. All that's necessary for a narrative to take off is people to find it compelling, find it interesting. And for liberals and disgruntled right-wing retards who have ruined their lives, this kind of false narrative stems from these unsubstantiated claims that people just make about Trump, that make, about Epstein. Like, they will take those claims and be like, see, this is exactly what I was talking about the entire time. This is what we were looking for the whole time. Whereas President Trump, being like a media genius, undoubtedly knew that this was what was going to happen. He knew that the unwashed masses lack the reading comprehension to read more than one half of a document to make sense of what most of us are, like, I don't know, finding very basic and easy to understand within these documents, where someone says something insane and you're like, holy shit, I hope that's not true. Oh, look at the next part. It says it's literally not true. This person's schizophrenic. But then because you have an in-group preference to schizophrenic people, you're like, oh my gosh, I knew it the whole time. Like, he would just see, he knew that people would just see his name in the Epstein Files and say, Trump's in the Epstein Files? Oh, geez, Rick. And that's exactly what happened. Remember Thomas Massey? Remember MTG grandstanding about the Epstein Files? Trump was right to turn on both of them, because by that point, which we could not see yet, we should have trusted. By that point, it was clear they already had turned on him. This is a whole political thing. That's why Democrats, who, by the way, again, 10 years ago, we were talking about Epstein, Democrats, all that weird stuff that these people get up to. And now, all of a sudden, release the Epstein Files as a Democrat talking point. Why do you think that is? Do you think that these people who still embody in their national party platform the abuse of children, whether directly because of stuff like, the transgender grooming, or indirectly by the facilitation of mass third world migration, which famously participates in things like trafficking children, sexually abusing children, that party all of a sudden really cares about that? Or is it just the same thing that it's always been, which is anything to attack Trump, because Trump is literally the only thing standing in between the global leviathan that is the left and American patriots? What do you think? How does that square for you? So, yeah, it wasn't just that. It wasn't just people misreading the documents. To make things worse, many right-wing influencers spread knowingly false narratives about this stuff. And I say knowingly because I saw our guys on Twitter pointing out that, for example, discredited liar Chuck Johnson was the source for Trump's compromise by freaking Israel. That whole thing. But none of these grifters admitted that they were wrong. None of them took down their posts. Anything to spite Trump, anything to drive engagement. They're prostitutes. It's unbelievably cynical. And it should be clear, my purpose here is to exonerate Trump from wrongdoing. That is what this is about. There is literally zero evidence that Donald Trump committed crimes, sexual or otherwise, with Jeffrey Epstein. It doesn't exist. Put it in front of me. I'm always guaranteed it's around the corner. It's around the corner. And this is it. It's your documents that are literally, says on the documents, didn't happen. It's schizophrenic. It's not credible. So that is as far as my concern goes. My purpose is not to say that Epstein was a great guy. As obvious as that might seem, apparently, there's like an army of morons online waiting to like strike the minute you push back against these completely idiotic narratives, as they did over the summer when I was the only person to tell you the truth about the Epstein Files. They accuse you of defending Epstein as if telling them how to read a fucking document properly and be like, I don't know, comprehensive of written word in front of you. Somehow that qualifies as a defense of Jeffrey Epstein's character. And half these people are posting like Epstein edits anyway, like hyping him up. So don't pretend that this is some kind of principle that you're standing upon. Like, it's all just for engagement. You post the Epstein memes when you get engagement. You freak out about the files when you get engagement. You're a prostitute. That's all you are. You should have been on Epstein's island. That was like your play. You're bitter, dude. You missed the train to Mars. That's what it is. You wish that you could have been there. So, yeah, just so we're clear, Jeffrey Epstein was a scumbag. He was a pervert. He was a bad guy, not good. And dare I say, he was a criminal libtard. Both, yeah, he was a criminal and literally a libtard. He was charged and convicted twice for sex crimes with minors. And as far as I'm concerned, you know, he was guilty. He should have served a longer sentence. Everybody knows that, right? But when people say Jeffrey Epstein had videos of Trump banging kids, it's like, do you really expect me to just like, oh, wow, you're like really smart. I know you're wrong about everything else, but on this, I can trust what you're saying. Like, do you expect me to just like go along with that? I also haven't seen literally any evidence that Epstein was running a blackmail operation. Again, most people just say these words to allude to memes that we've all seen a million times. They have nothing else. And I'm sorry, but that like doesn't meet my standard. I actually like believe in truth. I believe in just like not being a complete retard. Most of the illicit stuff he did was with like underage teenagers, and that was in private. That was like the basis for both of his cases. Like he was finding high school girls to give him happy ending massages. You shouldn't be doing that. That is wrong. One of his victims, who was 14 at the time, said that she was instructed to say that she was 18 when he asked her, which I guess she did. So maybe Epstein just had to like ask the girls that. So that he could have plausible deniability. Maybe he was playing it, you know, fast and loose. Who knows? Who cares? He still deserves to go to prison for that. Like, no one's disputing that. But as Trump's Justice Department stated last summer, where's the client list, dude? The government just kept the client list? There's no evidence of it. There's no evidence of a blackmail operation, no evidence of criminal activity among uncharged third parties. Where is this, dude? In other words, that whole narrative that Jeffrey Epstein was like personally responsible for blackmailing, you know, literally every powerful person with horrific recordings of them doing God knows what to minors, it's just like not true. And as I said over the summer and was attacked for, why would you need blackmail? If you're a politician, dude, you're already spineless. To be blackmailed implies that you have some kind of spine that would need to be compromised, where it's like, oh, I just really want to do the right thing because I'm such a good guy and I would never sell out the American people. But, oh no, I accidentally like raped somebody. I'm a really good guy and I want to do right by the American people, but damn it, I raped somebody. And now, oh no, I'm going to have to do wrong by the American people because otherwise people are going to find out that I raped somebody. Is this even like possible to believe? I don't understand what again, people just want to believe the mythology of it, but that doesn't even make any sense. Politicians will do whatever anybody wants them to do because that is their job. They're not going to like trick them into doing something and then, it's on video. Also, if there were actually like videos and photos of what people are describing, not just a photo of Jeffrey Epstein like hanging out with girls, I mean like actual photos and videos like everybody keeps talking about, if those were released, the public probably would side with the person who is doing the evil stuff. The public would say, wait a minute, you did something fucked up and you should go to prison. However, you fell on the grenade, right? You were like, look, I did something evil because I'm evil. But look, this guy was blackmailing me. Here's the whole problem. The whole house of cards. The people would wake up. Why hasn't that happened? Why hasn't like literally one of these people fallen on it and just been like, hey, you know what? It's true. It's all true. It just hasn't happened. All it is just like retards on social media running the engagement play, just trying to like lie to people, get people excited for what? What is this vector going towards? Attacking Donald Trump. So yeah, most of the people who buy into this narrative just respond with like talking points when you ask them for evidence. Like, what do you mean the sky's not blue, dude? We've all seen the same sky. We've all seen the Instagram reels. We've all seen the memes. Like, I'm sorry, forgive me for not finding that particularly interesting, particularly compelling. Again, I have known who Jeffrey Epstein is for 11 years at this point. I've done the reading. I have forgotten more about Jeffrey Epstein than you will ever know. These people who just woke up about this guy during like 2024, at best 2019, at absolute best, but usually 2024. Then they attack my integrity because I'm like 5 or 6 years ahead of them. And so I have to be attacked, which is fine. That's fine. Enjoy your media cycle. Enjoy your experience with social media.